In our last video, we saw that if an equation is already in slope-intercept form, then using the slope and the y-intercept is a good way to graph it. In this video, we're going to talk some more about what slope means. So if I have an equation, y equals negative 4/3 x plus 2. We know from our previous video that our slope, m, is negative 4/3, and our y-intercept, and remember the y-intercept is an ordered pair, so the 2 is the y-coordinate of the y-intercept. So we can plot our point 0, 2, and then the negative 4/3, if we think of this as rise over run. So we have that our slope is rise over run, which means the change in y, because y goes up and down on the y-axis, over change in x, because x goes side to side on the x-axis. So a slope of negative 4/3 means that we're going to go down from here. We're going to count down 4 units because of the negative. That's down 4 units. And then over 3 units. And create another point here. And since this point was 0, 2, we are subtracting 4 from the 2 in the y direction. And so our new y is negative 2. And our x went from 0 to the right 3, so it is 3. So we have another ordered pair, 3, negative 2, which allowed me to graph my line. So we see that our slope, our m, gives us a rate of change. How much is y changing for every incremental change in x? So if we think about that, if we look here that we're going over 1 unit in the x direction, how much did y change? And we see that y changed 4/3 of a unit in a negative direction. So slope is also a rate of change. How much did y change for every incremental change in x? If I had two points on a line, for instance, let's say that we have the point negative 2, negative 3, and we have the point 1, 5. And those are 2 points on a line. And I wanted to find the slope of the line. We know that slope is change in y over change in x. So if I'm calling these 2 points x1, y1, that's my first point, and x2, y2, that's my second point. And these little subscripts just differentiate. The first x and y, the second x and y, that's all that means. So to find the rate of change, we're going to say, what's the difference between the two y's, and difference means subtraction, over the difference between the two x's. So we're going to subtract this y minus this y, and watch your negatives there, over this x minus this x. And again, watch your negatives. So we have 5 plus 3 is 8 over 3. And we see that our slope is 8/3. That we went up from this point to this point, we went up 8 units and over 3 units. Notice on this one, my slope here is -4/3. It's a negative number. And my graph is decreasing as I move from left to right. My graph is going in a downwards direction. Here, on this one, my graph is increasing from left to right. It is going upwards, and we have a positive slope. And that's always the case. If we have a negative slope, we're going to be going down from left to right, decreasing. And if we have a positive slope, we're going to be going up from left to right, increasing. Let's see how we can use this in a real life situation. Let's say that we know that in, let's say 2005, that tuition for 1 semester hour at a college was $120. In 2011, tuition for 1 semester at that same college was $135. And we want to find the rate of change. In other words, find the slope. This sentence is giving me an ordered pair of information. This sentence is giving me another ordered pair of information. And remember that ordered pairs, I have an input number and an output number. So in this case, my input number is the year. My output number is the dollar amount for tuition. So I could say that I have an ordered pair where my year is 2005 and my tuition for that year is $120. I'd like you to write the other ordered pair. And we see that we're looking at the year 2011, and tuition was $135 in that year. So if I'm finding the rate of change, I'm finding the slope. And we're going to subtract our two y's, and it's important to remember you always have to do the y's in the numerator and the x's in the denominator. It doesn't matter which ordered pair you start with. Because 135 is a bigger number than 120 and 2011 is a bigger number than 2005, I'm going to go ahead and start with the larger numbers. So I have my change in my y's, 135 minus 120, over 2011 minus 2005. So I have 15, 35 minus 20 is 15, over 11 minus 5 is 6. And because this is a dollar amount, I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator. I could simplify this, dividing out the 3, and I'd have 5 halves. But because we're talking about the rate of change in dollars per year, I'm going to rewrite this as 2.50. So on average, the cost of tuition increased, because it's a positive number, by an average of $2.50 each year. In our next video, we're going to look at writing equations of lines using slopes